And one of the most important was this: no one was allowed to think too highly of themselves. It wasn't a suggestion, it was enforced through mockery. Richard Lee, who studied the Jew/Hoansi, decided to bring a gift at Christmas. He bought the largest ox he could find. He expected gratitude. What he got was mockery. The Jew/Hoansi spent days complaining about the ox. Too skinny, too old, barely worth the fire. They walked around it, shaking their heads, gesturing dismissively. Lee was offended. He asked a local man named Tommaso what was happening. Tommaso explained, "When a man brings a big kill to camp, we always say it's worthless. We say he's a poor hunter. We say the meat is too tough." He continued, "This is not because we believe it. This is because we have to. If we praised him, he might think he's better than everyone else. A proud man will one day use a knife." Humility wasn't a virtue. It was a survival mechanism for the whole group. The bigger the kill, the harder they mocked. That was how the group kept its hunters from believing their own legend. Not cruelty, architecture. Social architecture that kept the group intact. When Lee finally slaughtered the ox, it turned out to be fat and delicious. No one mentioned it. Wiesner of the University of Utah recorded 174 conversations in Jew-Hoansi camps across 2 decades. She wanted to know what people actually talked about when they weren't hunting or gathering. During daylight, conversations were mostly practical. Where to forage, who had excess food, who needed help, logistics, resource management, the business of staying alive. But after the fire was lit, something shifted. 81% of nighttime conversation was stories, not recaps of the day. Stories about people who weren't there, events from the past, things that hadn't happened yet. Stories that had characters who made wrong choices and paid for them. Stories that named emotions. Stories that explored what someone should have done differently. Stories that let you practice moral reasoning without the cost of a real mistake. Wiesner called it the cathedral of the night, the place where the social rules of the group were rehearsed and transmitted. Not written down, not formalized, transmitted through story, through the fire's warmth, through shared attention. You learned what the group valued, not from lectures, but from watching which stories got told with admiration and which got told as warnings. It wasn't entertainment. It was the moral infrastructure of the group. The fire was the first school. When the fire died down, the conversations quieted. People didn't check their phones. There were no phones. There was no scrolling, no news, no inbox. Just the coals, the dark, and the people you'd known your entire life. And then, one by one, they lay down. Then they slept, but probably not the way you sleep. Throughout most of human history, sleep came in 2 phases. A first sleep of 3 or 4 hours, then waking, then lying still for an hour, then sleeping again until dawn. It wasn't insomnia, it was the design. Historian Roger Ekirch spent 16 years finding references to this pattern in documents going back to ancient Greece. He found over 500. Medieval English had a specific phrase for it: first sleep. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Ware put volunteers in a room with no artificial light for a month. Within a few weeks, they all shifted to the same pattern: first sleep, waking gap, second sleep. The body remembered something the modern world had erased. Ware measured their hormone levels during the waking gap. Prolactin levels were elevated, the same hormone released during meditation, the same state nursing mothers experience. Ware described the state as peaceful, reflective, almost meditative, unlike any normal waking state. Every night, for tens of thousands of years, people dropped into a biochemical state that modern life has nearly eliminated. The word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu, cover the fire. When Edison's light bulb arrived in 1879, the first sleep ended for good. Before you decide that ancient life was better, it wasn't. It was different, with different cost. In Jew-Hoansi camps, roughly 4 out of 10 children died before age 5. Infections that today's antibiotics clear in a week killed people in days. A broken leg in the wrong season meant starvation. When farming arrived 10,000 years ago, people didn't choose it because it was easier. Archaeological evidence shows early farmers were shorter, had worse teeth, and worked longer hours than the foragers around them. But farming supported 10 times more people per square mile. Once populations grew large enough, there was no going back. We got vaccines, antibiotics, clean water, dentists, the ability to read this sentence.